Hey YouTube, it's Raining Car Games, and welcome back to another episode of Yugioh Wilderness. A little bit of change of scenery from the Sonoran Desert, don't you think? Alright you guys, well, I hope you guys are ready to explore the forest, because we got a canine to catch. So forests are an extremely diverse meta where oftentimes anywhere you look around you're able to find a new archetype or a new Yugi monster that you wouldn't normally see at your average everyday watering hole. All you have to do is lift up a log and see what you can find. What did I tell you? Just have to lift up a log and it looks like we found ourselves a cocoon of evolution. So if we're lucky and quiet, we may be able to find the final form of this monster lying around somewhere in the forest, because there's one, there's bound to be more. But with respect, we're gonna go ahead and put him right underneath the log where we found him. There you go, buddy. Let's keep moving on. So, we are looking for a rare monster that has been mostly driven out of Yugioh because its metaclimate has been severely reduced. Because nowadays, it's not often that you'll see Thunder Dragon or Metaphys climates. So, if we're very careful and attentive, we may be able to find a den where we can see a group of these monsters flourishing. Let's hope and let's keep looking. We're close to the den. I think it's up ahead. I can see the den ahead. I can't believe it. This is the species that we've been combing the woods for, and we are so fortunate to find an entire family of them. It's an elusive lupine pack. This is a very rare species that we have been searching everywhere for in this current metaclimate, and it's kinda difficult. So despite heavy meta-habitat losses across the globe, this species is still able to persist in Metaphys habitat zones across the globe, and with a slight resurgence of Thunder Dragon climates, this species hopefully will be on the uptick. Now, it's really intriguing how this species behaves in these climates. It uses its call out to banish foes from both its own territory and the opposing territories of other opponents, and it clears out that way in order to bring in more reinforcements. The teamwork displayed by this Yugi monster is incredible, and it's truly awe-inspiring in order to find one of these guys still living and thriving outside in the wild. So that is going to do it for our adventure in the wolves, and we were lucky enough to find an entire pack of aloof lupine happily living in their den. And we have to consider ourselves lucky considering the current metaclimate and that they're not that common anymore. But before we head on out, you guys know the drill. I'm not letting you out of here without a little bit of real-life Yugioh Wilderness knowledge. So, I'm pretty sure that most of you were able to figure out that aloof lupine we are basing off of the wolf. But do you know which species that I am choosing to base it off of? You're about to find out. The red wolf. So there are many species of wolf spread out across the globe. You can find them in a wide variety of habitats, ranging from deciduous forest coniferous forests to the Arctic Circle to deserts, you name it, they are very widespread and a very important apex predator on the planet. Now, the red wolf is native to the southeastern United States, ranging from Florida up to Ohio and the Atlantic around to the Texas and Mississippi Delta. Now, this species is almost extinct actually. It's quite endangered. That is because of its habitat. This section of the United States is one of the most developed parts of the world. There is very little open habitat. So you can pretty much imagine what happens when a bunch of people start populating an area and there is a very large wolf living in that habitat. The wolf is going to get driven out for various reasons. A, people fear wolves since the dawn of time, even though this is where dogs came from, man's best friend, but people fear wolves because they want to protect their livestock, they want to protect their children, they want to protect their pets. There are a wide number of reasons why people fear wolves and do not want to live in the same vicinity as them. But that being said, wolves do play an important role, and it's not until later that scientists were able to explain to the public that wolves have their purpose and are very important. Unfortunately, the red wolf was almost driven to extinction, and there were only a few holdouts in southern Louisiana and Texas, where this pretty much was the last remaining population of wild red wolves. Now, scientists were able to protect this population and use it as a breeding population, where they were able to slowly bring back the species and maintain it there, also in zoos, and the U.S. Fish and Wildlife Service was able to maintain an experimental population in a barrier island in North Carolina. But this is pretty much the extent of where you can find red wolves in the wild nowadays. Now, why are wolves important? Well, I mentioned they were an apex predator, and what do apex predators do? They are the top of the food chain. They are able to control lower levels of animals that live on the food web. So, for example, what do wolves eat? Well, wolves go after a wide variety of animals, ranging from rodents to such as rabbits and voles, and they can also go up to larger animals when they work together as a pack, when they can hunt deer. So, a great example of how wolves control and are good for the environment is the reintroduction of the gray wolf at Yellowstone National Park. So, previously, wolves were historically found in Yellowstone, but due to overhunting, they were driven to extinction in that local area. But in the 90s, they were gradually reintroduced to Yellowstone, and they noticed a amazing change that happened in the park. So previously, you noticed elk populations were high, coyote populations were high, and basically all the lower animal tiers were out of balance. But when they reintroduced the apex predator, the wolf, they noticed a change. Elk populations were brought down to a stable level. Coyotes and foxes and other mesopredators were also brought to a stable level. This means that other levels of animals, such as smaller rodents and vegetation, were able to thrive and make a much more suitable habitat zone. And with that, they noticed beaver populations started to go up. And with beaver populations going up, with beavers building dams, they noticed trout populations were going up. Wolves benefited the area indirectly by controlling the elk, because elk would browse less knowing that there are wolves in the area, and fear from prey is important. So now that we understand why wolves are important as apex predators, you can kind of see why the red wolf is important in the eastern United States food web. It's able to control deer populations, specifically white-tailed deer, which are a very big problem here in the eastern and southern United States because there's no population control for them. The only thing that will hunt them is people, but people aren't as effective as a wolf. A wolf is living in the same proximity as a deer all the time. People just go out for a couple hours or so and then return to their homes. It does not have the same fear effect that a wolf would have, because deer will spend less time in one area knowing that there is a predator living amongst them. And with deer populations going lower and lower to a more sustainable level, you'll notice that there are less car crashes, you'll notice that forests will become more healthy, and all in all, the ecosystem will benefit. It's just a matter of convincing people that wolves are a good thing, not a bad thing. Now, if you guys are interested in wolf conservation, I have some links down below in the description that you guys can feel free to check out. And as always, if you've enjoyed this video, please like, subscribe, and comment down below. And I always appreciate your guys' support, but I think it's time to go and take another fun stroll through the woods. I'm gonna catch you in the next video.